could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can have all you ever you could. Here's your story, let's begin. The water's fine, come on, dive in. The future's here, it's right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. You're welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could. Yeah, times are changing everywhere. Do we dream and do we dare? It's up to you, the door is open wide. Feel the rhythm of today, learn the part and join the play. The world is here, let's take it for a ride. You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly high.
Life's a foolish game. Do you ever feel the same? Well, maybe we could change, turn the ship another way. Feel it in the darkness. We're sailing right into those jagged cliffs.
Good morning and welcome back to the channel Grand Colombia, and welcome to another Coffee Time Live. And I'll say right off the bat, for whatever reason, it's not showing up on Rumble. It's not Rumble's fault. It's my fault, and I'll explain in a minute. So right now, it's only streaming on YouTube and on X. It's not even showing up on my own website. More bugs to work out. It's very complicated, actually. So right now, it's 78 degrees out. It's about 90 degrees here in the studio. It's very hot. I got to get a fan in here. We're going to have a high of 81 degrees today and a low of 62 degrees. Why do I tell you this every week? I tell you this because I want you to understand the consistency. And if you're watching month after month, year after year, you hear around this time, it's always 78, 79 degrees. And the high in the high 70s or low 80s, and the low 62 to 64 degrees, week after week after week after week. So that's kind of the point. And behind me here, you got centigrade, but it's in this room. Colombian peso, 41.60. It's pretty awesome. Particularly since I hope it stays up there, because Tuesday I get paid, and that'll be very nice. All right, so welcome to the new podcast, warts and all. I can see chat from X and from YouTube. Like I said, for whatever reason, let me look once more. It just does not seem to be streaming on Rumble, which is very frustrating. I've put hours into this, but part of it's the software. I have an issue with a microphone, and in all the other software, it was creating some real problems. I need a new one.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Somebody behind me named Alexi decided to respond. So I need a new one. I can't really swing it right now. And so I'm using StreamYard software because it's probably the most simple software. But it's complicated when it distributes it to other channels. I'll get back to my normal software, and then that problem will disappear. So podcast, what makes it different? Well, I'm going to have a weekly guest host. Today we have Paola, and I'll be bringing her in shortly. And it'll either be in studio or remote. Also, we'll have interactive conversations. So if we're having a conversation, and that's what it's going to be more conversational than me lecturing like I am now. If somebody has something to contribute to it, I can bring them right in. And as long as you have a decent camera and a microphone. If you don't, I'll have to kick you off. But if you do, I'll bring you right in, and you can talk for a few minutes about what your viewpoint is. And I can do that with up to, well, on this platform, up to 10 people. Let's see, what else do I have here? Oh yeah, the software issues. Currently, what I have available to me is online software of Rumble Studio. It's not bad. OBS Ninja, which I will use with OBS. And OBS is my desktop, very complicated system, but I've been using it for years. And I'm trying to integrate a lot of things into that. You remember I said that I had an issue with the chat showing up on the screen once I left YouTube, and also it having chat from a lot of different platforms. I've actually solved that. So on OBS, I have that ability now. So I really won't be giving much up. It's just, I got to get through this, sort out the microphone issue and things like that. Yeah, the biggest issue right now is sound control, particularly on our side. I would like you to, is my volume low? It could be. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. How is it now? Testing. I can barely hear them. Yes, it sucks on Rumble, but it's better on YouTube. Well, it's not on Rumble, and it's not better on YouTube. This is a software issue that I'm having. It's not, in this case, it's not Rumble or YouTube, but if YouTube was better, I would be staying on YouTube and I wouldn't be changing. YouTube, I am okay. Well, it's only streaming right now on YouTube and on X. It's not on Rumble. So, but I noticed the software here had actually turned the volume down. Let me look. All right, it's set, holding steady. So it should be better now. Okay, so I'll get to those chats in a minute. Yeah, the worst chat is actually here on StreamYard. Problem was in order to, on an emergency basis, put this on, I could say I've only got 21 people, so nowhere near the number, probably because I switched everybody to Rumble. So I don't have anywhere near the viewers on here. But as an emergency basis, as last minute, as of last night, I had to switch to StreamYard. And in order to do it, I had to subscribe for the month, $88.99. Yeah, that was no fun. Of course, there won't be any of those advertisements today. I don't know that I'm going to continue with them. I looked after the fact, and I don't know if it's worth it, at least at this point, maybe later. All right. Good volume on YouTube, but you can't hear me on StreamYard. Well, I'll bring you in when time comes. All right, so we got Yuka. Thank you very much for the contribution. Mike Jarvis, early on, thank you. Good morning. Michael Meyer, good morning from Los Angeles. The good William Hutchinson, good morning. Rob, good morning, Fort Lauderdale, 249 days. I'm seeing you on Rumble. You are seeing me on Rumble. Why am I not seeing it on Rumble? All right. Oh. There it is. There it is. All right. And let me go to private chat. Paula, I'm sending you a link in private chat for you to click on. Where did it go? Let me find it. There it is. Here we are. Yeah, Rumble. Hi from New York City, back to Colombia in 10 days. Dr. Charles. Charles, how you doing? Thanks for the follow. Greetings from Finland. That's Yuka. Buenos dias, Armenia. Good morning. I can finally say I will be there next month. That's good to hear, Jerry. Seeing Rumble now. I don't know why the late start. So you understand the issue of it streaming to, instead of coming from Rumble to the other channels. Right now, StreamYard defaults to YouTube. So it's going to YouTube, and from YouTube, it's going to X and to Rumble. And so if there's any issues around YouTube streaming to the other channels, that's what you're going to see. When we're streaming from Rumble going to the other, like I did last week, it's a hell of a lot better. Let's see. Rumble just fine. Audio sounds muffled. We're seeing you on Rumble, but sound level low. Yeah, I apologize for today. You might want to jump over to YouTube because they're actually controlling that. So I can't do anything about it there. I can do something about it to YouTube. All right, enough of that. We've got to get on with this. YouTube volume okay. No difference in volume. Oh, okay. Rob says there's no difference, so who knows? I think YouTube volume could be better. I see you on Rumble, but the volume is bad, so it's kind of mixed bag. My volume is slightly low. Let's just say I'm on YouTube. I had turned my volume all the way up to hear it. Rumble just fine now. Okay. TV shows Rumble same as YouTube. Turtle. Yeah, that's something else. 22 on Rumble, 18 here. Yeah. Low volume on YouTube. Turn that off. Several of us watching on YouTube, apparently you can't see that chat. I can now. I can see the chat on Rumble now. Can you, Paula? Are you seeing the chat on Rumble? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Peter chiming in from Salento. How you doing? YouTube is muffled and low. Okay. All right. So some are muffled, some, I don't know what to say about that. Note to self, guy, take off that face filter. I don't have one on. I'm not even sure if there's one available. All right. So let's get on with it. I have one thing to show you, and then bring Paula in, and we'll have a little conversation. So this week, my car, I think I mentioned it last week, that I messed up the CV joint, and I've got a video coming out about the car repair, because people, ask questions about that. And I did it's a terrible little clip, but it kind of explains pretty well. I went through, so here we go. The car, the Black Elephant. And the name seems to have stuck because everybody's calling it that. I find myself calling it the Black Elephant. Here's the thing. Probably visiting one of the farms on the non-roads. I ended up tearing the axle boot, which caused all the grease to fly out and rocks and mud to get in. And of course the CV joint became bad. So I took a look, and all the boots are kind of weathered. So I have 2 new CV joints that I got through Amazon. The axle shafts were very cheap. The shipping, maybe not so much. So this morning I'm going to the repair shop where they tell me that they're going to install both for 170,000 pesos, about 40 bucks. Oh, the axle shafts were $60 and $80, but the shipping was about 50 bucks for each one. And they're heavy as hell. So these are not your light little CV shafts. These things are very heavy duty, which kind of surprises me. This Ford Edge is built like a truck. As a matter of fact, a lot of F-150 parts are used in it. All right, so let's head to the repair shop. All right, let me get that off the screen. And here is Paula. Welcome back. You have your sound off.
Okay. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Hello, Lauren.
Howdy.
Okay.
Glad you could make it back. She had a little trouble at the guardhouse.
1 second. Let me put the bullet down. Okay. Now it's better.
They thought she was a terrorist and wouldn't let her in.
Yeah. It sometimes happens here. Like some security guards they start asking you questions like who you are and where you're coming, and it's like visiting someone.
That's the thing here in Colombia. The minute you put somebody in a uniform, now they act differently. They act like they have all this authority over you. It's crazy. You see it all the time. True or no?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I don't know what it is. A uniform, and all of a sudden they're in control.
Yeah, it also happened to me at the university when I was a teacher there. I worked for 2 universities. One of the universities was a private one. And I finished classes at the public university, and then I have another class at the private university. Obviously, sometimes my clothes were, like a public university, like normal clothes. And one day I forgot my USB memory at the university, the private one. Mm-hmm. When I arrived, the security guard was like, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm the teacher." And she said, "No, impossible. You're not the teacher." And I said, "Why?" "Well, your clothes." And I said, "No, I have my ID." So I showed the identification and he was calling everyone like, is she a teacher? Like, really? Is she? And I'm like, yeah, and just change my clothes. But yeah, it's crazy. They almost took me an hour to get in the university. It's crazy.
One of the things that we want to just talk about for a minute or two, and then we're going to bring in our special guest Turtle to tell you about something. But one of the things that we want to talk about the bilingual situation in Colombia. People will come here as visitors and they'll say, nobody speaks English. Well, it is Colombia and it's a Spanish country. And 20 years ago, nobody did speak English. However, I know that there's been a move, and every year it seems to get a little stronger, where the government will support an education in English. Even now, it's basically in all your middle schools, right, or high schools. But it's still pretty rare. What, from the inside, having been through English classes and speaking English, tell us about what's the deal here in Colombia? Is it going to improve? Why is it the way it is?
Well, it's the idea. The government had this program, Colombia Bilingual, Bilingual Colombia. It was in 2016, I think it was the first time the president talked about that. And he said that the idea was that in 10 years, Colombia would be bilingual. So we have 2 years to become a bilingual country, according to that program. It started with giving like more money to certain universities, certain sectors of education to promote some assistance coming from different countries, reinforcing English for teachers, because some teachers have this issue that they went to university many years ago and their English is not that good, but anyway, they're English teachers at school. So some schools have that issue. Now there are many bilingual schools that they are hiring bilingual teachers or teachers from different countries. So then the level of English is getting better now. But it's not for everyone. It's not for all generations. Maybe new generations are getting this advantage. But if we talk about past generations, I don't have that the same situation.
Yeah, I mentioned when we were talking off air that I think people's English directly relates to how interested they are in it. Because if you're in high school and you're getting a mandatory English class, if you don't really care anything about it, you're not going to learn anything. Some people have said to me that come from North America, and they say, well, if everybody takes English and it's mandatory, then they're pretending that they don't understand English. And no, that's not the case. They don't know. I had mandatory languages, and I took French and Latin in high school. I remember some Latin, but I hated the French. My mother was born in France, and I have resentment. We have our issues, and so I never really paid attention in the French class. And I'm guessing it's probably similar here. Yes or no?
Yes, it's true. Here in Colombia, English is mandatory in schools, but sometimes you get like a master specialization in verb to be, because you learn verb to be in 7th grade and in 8th grade and in 9th grade, and you don't get like more information than verb to be. It's sad, but it's true. And then when you go to university, then you have to face an English that's because of the bilingual Colombian plan. So they're going to tell you, but you need to graduate from university having a B1 level minimum or B2 level. So you enter to university with a very low level of English, and then in university you have to learn because you have to. So yes, it's very difficult for a Colombian to face that reality now. But it's also true that because of globalization, and also because if you want to get a master program or if you want to study something in another university, you need to have English. So yes, that's something we have to face. That's something government is trying to do about. So let's see what happens.
All right, let's bring Turtle in. There's a lot of comments about Your microphone is much louder. Mine's much quieter. I was able to go in here and adjust your microphone. So hopefully that's improved. Let's bring in Turtle. Most of you know Turtle. He's living in Socorro, but he can give himself a brief introduction. And Turtle, if you're on YouTube or whatever, you want to mute those now.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Can you post those pictures?
You want to start off with that?
Sure.
You don't want to explain what they are?
Well, I have a friend here, Freddie, and Freddie has a finca where he grows vegetables and chickens and ducks and all kinds of stuff. And the caretaking family on the finca have a daughter. Well, they have two daughters, but the youngest daughter is not able to eat. She's got a permanent port in her stomach, and daily she has to get supplements pumped into her stomach. So the pictures that Lauren is showing, it looks like a 4 or 5 year old girl when actually she's 9 or 10 years old. She also has learning disabilities, and she can't talk very well. She can talk somewhat, but not very well. So, she tore my heart out when I saw her. And so I've talked to a couple people, Lauren's people, you guys, and a couple have come forth with hundreds of dollars. And out of that, this young girl is able to get the nutrition she needs on a monthly basis. It's about $100 a month. Those 8 containers is what she goes through in 30 days. And, it almost makes me cry just thinking about it.
No, the Pediasure, it's not your typical Pediasure. It's a particular type of Pediasure. I've looked this up. The other thing is, when you first ran into her, I remember you telling me about it, because they were so short on money to keep her alive, they were diluting it pretty heavily. So she would eat, but the nutrition was heavily diluted.
The caretaking family, their home has no windows. The mother cooks on an open wood fire. And, this girl is trying to advance her schooling. And her older sister, who's 14, is also trying to do their lessons, etc. And all they have is a very old cell phone. And of course, they have limited minutes. So, it's a mess. And, considering where most of us came from and the lives we've lived, this is a heartbreaker. And this family is not alone. There are hundreds, thousands, probably millions of families just like this.
All right. Well, is there anything that are you actively taking over, keeping her going? What's the update?
What I do is every once in a while, if I'm talking to someone and they seem of kind of heart, like Jerry Rita, I'll mention this, and boom, all of a sudden my PayPal account shows up hundreds of dollars. I'm also trying to solicit maybe a couple old laptops so the kids can do their lessons if possible. But, I'm doing everything I can just to try to keep this family afloat, but I can't do it alone.
All right. Well, everybody hears that. If you can reach Turtle, well, actually, probably the best way is send me an email, and then I'll get you guys hooked up. I'll connect you that way.
Yeah, through PayPal, all you need is an email address, and you can send money. And mine is tbatinsky@gmail.com. And
type that right into the chat.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. I'm going to have you back on either next week or the week after because it's something else I want to talk about.
One more thing, with Freddie and this family, I'm trying to get a cell phone up to Jerry in Arizona. If anyone's going north in the next couple of weeks, please get in touch with Lauren or myself so that I can get this cell phone to you and get it up to Jerry. It's a brand new Google phone, but it's under warranty with a fault, so it needs to be exchanged. Well, you can't send cell phones through any of the services out of Colombia, so I have to have somebody mule it up there. So please, if you're headed north, please let me know. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And we're back. Somebody said I have a face filter. I don't know if I should be insulted or. All right, let me take a look at the chat, and then we're going to get to the topic I think is going to be the most interesting. Let's see. We're seeing on Rumble. I said that. Picture is not as good on YouTube. Can you show me how to find Rumble on my TV? I have to watch on my phone to get a clear picture. You took 10 years off on YouTube. Okay. Louder, more clear. I could only learn Spanish by traditional class settings with a teacher like Paula. More balanced audio now. Okay, good. That was actually StreamYard that changed that setting. I have no idea why it changed. Before she actually arrived, I had gone in and made that setting. As soon as your guest got on air, sound increased, went over that. Did that. And Scott, welcome from Ontario. Okay. All right. So this is the one I'm looking forward to. It was Paula's suggestion. Superstitions in Colombia. Now, tell me, they don't really exist, right? They don't really exist. When I lived here, people are probably sick of it. When I lived here 23 years ago or whatever it was, but I did, and I'd never been to Colombia, and I was here on the job, and I lived in Dos Quebradas, which was separate from Pereira in those days, although now it's only separated by a bridge. It's like one giant city. But there were things that were interesting. For example, in the house that I was staying, while I was in a hotel, they insisted that I live with a family of the interpreter that was assigned to me. And so every week I would go to a different member of the family, and that went on forever. But in the interpreter's home, it was her and her mother. And when I was there, the shower was a pipe sticking out of the wall. There was no shower head, and there was no hot water in the house. And her mother was insistent that if you take a shower in warm or hot water, it will make you sick. And she thoroughly believed that. Also, no matter what was wrong, whether it was a headache, a fever, if you fell and skinned your knee, the cure was eucalyptus. All you needed was eucalyptus, and that was a cure for everything. What do you think about that?
Well, it's true. I also had a family that was from, my family is from Antioquia.
It's true that eucalyptus will cure everything?
Well, for my family that is from Antioquia, from Titiri, Antioquia, there is a little town in the north of Antioquia. So also they believe about the powers of eucalyptus, that they still do it. But the other part of my family was from Buga. It is a little town in Valle del Cauca, so they're very from Valle del Cauca. So the cure for that part of my family was lemon or orange. So I think it depends on the region you are.
Because you didn't have eucalyptus trees, right?
No, not many. It's very hot to have eucalyptus. So the cure was lemon. Everything, oh, I got this. I'm not just take lemon with agua panela, with panela and water. So hot drinks with lemon or orange, that's the best solution for everything you have.
Now, some of the best superstitions are around New Year's, where you have to wear a certain color of panties. And you can change them, but you have to do it in a short period of time. Something about eating grapes. I don't remember exactly what that was, but it was like stuffing grapes, like you had to eat one every second or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Of course, so my family love that kind of superstition. They still do it. It's 12 grapes. You have to eat 12 grapes at midnight. When you listen to the cling, 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 there are 12, right? Because of
Right.
midnight. So then you need to take 1, 2, 3, 12. If you take 12, you have 12 wishes. So you have to think about wishes, eating grapes, and then it's midnight. So it's crazy. But then if you do it, if you are very good at doing that, so then you're going to get your 12 wishes during the next year.
But people would cheat on that too, because you know how the globe grapes are really big, but you can get the green grapes, they were smaller without the
Yeah.
seeds. And so, you know, it's like you don't want the globe grape, it just makes it harder to do it, right?
Yeah, but when I was a kid, you had the ones with the seeds, so you had to survive.
You just swallow the seeds.
Yeah.
And what
Do-
about
do it
the
fast.
like the panties? It's like green, yellow, red.
Yellow? Well, what I learned is yellow. Then they changed because of the. It was more marketing, like, oh, if you use red, so then red is passion.
Passion,
If you,
yeah.
yeah, so they changed it. But the original idea was yellow panties.
And what was the yellow for?
Good luck.
And the green was for money.
Never heard about green.
Yeah.
You did? Okay. So
Okay.
maybe here in this.
And there was something about putting pesos in your shoe.
Well, what I learned about money was in the pockets you put some lentils, small lentils. So the most amount of lentils you have in your pocket, more money you're going to have next year.
Lentils.
Yeah,
The,
lentils.
like the little, that's new. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah.
But I remember my ex-wife on New Year's, she would hold in her hand some kind of money.
Okay.
She would wear, this was 20 some years ago, and they were doing the colors in Pareda. And so I think she had to change really quick, but at the same time, she had to be doing the grapes. So she's holding the money, she's doing the grapes, she's doing these wishes and changing her panties. And it was like 15 seconds of insanity.
It is still is with my family. And actually there is a tradition, I don't know if you have it here in the coffee region, but in Valle del Cauca, they had the tradition to take bags, empty bags, and run with the bags around the block. If you do all the round of the block, so then you're going to travel. So you see people running with the bags because they want to travel. Yeah, bags. Or yeah, like baggages, it could be a suitcase, it could be anything, but just run around the block. If you do it at midnight, so then you're going to travel next year. I never done that, and I travel a lot.
I don't know that I've seen that one. It kind of rings a bell, something about doing something with a suitcase, but I don't know. Plus, it kind of blends. Ecuador has their own crazy things
Yeah,
too.
of course.
And you know, I lived there for a while, so it kind of blends up. Dan. I remember how I was at 21. Now at 50 years of hot showers, I've clearly been weakened. Superstition confirmed. Yeah, just a slow acting one. So tell me about some other ones.
Some other ones, okay, not related to New Year, but not like in general. If you have a mirror and you break the mirror by an accident, and you by an accident look at it, so then you're going to have bad luck. Some people say it's only for days, some others for years, but it's also related to bad luck. Opening an umbrella inside the house is also bad luck. If you're walking the street and you see a ladder and you pass it,
See, all these are in North America,
yeah, it comes from there. Yeah, but we also use it here.
but we don't really believe it there.
No, but here people do. Actually, you can see, for example, in Cali, you notice that Cali is kind of it's a city that is always something going on about constructions. So they're always building something, always putting ladders or and things like that on the street. And you need to walk, and people just look. And they have cars here, they have people around, and they just do it because they think that if they pass the ladder, something's going to happen. They still do it. And if you pass close to a church, then you have to do this.
Yeah, used to see that back in the day. Everybody did that. Now you don't see it so much.
In towns, you do. If you go to Sircasa, you still see people.
In the small, in the more traditional, smaller
Yeah.
towns. In the cities, you don't
No, in
see it that
cities.
much.
But in Cali, still.
Yeah,
It's more for people of certain age because new generations, they don't do that.
right.
But old generations, they do.
Now in the United States, there's a name for it, trip to something or other. I don't know. But the number 13 is supposed to be bad luck. And in the United States, although I've been told that it's changed now, but throughout my life, you would have on a building the 12th floor and then the 14th floor. They wouldn't have a 13th floor because nobody would want to live on it. And it was surprising to me here. It's like I live on the 13th floor, and all these buildings. So there's a superstition that was carried in the United States, but apparently they didn't do it here.
But no, 13 is not a bad luck number. Only if it's Thursday. No, it's Friday.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th.
Yeah, that's-
because of the movie, of the Halloween movie. So we took that, and sometimes people say, "Oh, today is 13 and it's Friday. No, it's impossible. I have an exam today." And I said, like, that is not logical, but they still believe that.
Now here's something that's maybe more extreme that you don't see so much in the cities, but it's very much alive in the countries or the countryside and the small towns, pueblos all over Colombia. And that's the worry about somebody giving you the evil eye or putting a spell on you or a hex on you.
Yeah. Actually, yesterday I was in Circasia and a lady came to me and said, like, "Oh, do you have this coral?" And I said, "Coral? Yes. The bracelet that you put for babies to protect him." And I was like, "Are you serious? But you're super young. What do you think about that?" I didn't say that. I just thought about that. And I said, "Corals, I know I haven't seen them here, but just try to go there and ask this person." But I was surprised that she was like 20 something and she was looking for something for the babies. And it's true. I've seen it. I've seen it in families and young babies that they have this bracelet to protect them from evil. And yes, it's a superstition, but I have to admit that I've seen things. I have to admit.
Oh,
No, I
my
have to admit
God.
that I never put anything to my baby. To be honest, never. He didn't have a bracelet. He didn't have a protection, anything.
So you're a
But
bad mother.
but my family was telling me, like, "You're crazy. Your baby's going to be harmed because you don't have a protection." And I said, "Well, my protection comes from my heart. I love him and I'm going to protect him." But it didn't happen to me directly, but to a friend. She took the baby to the doctor, and the doctor said, "I don't know what he has. He's crying. I don't know. He's okay." They run some tests and they didn't find anything. And my friend said, "I'm going to put the bracelet." And I said, "No, you're crazy. Don't do that." And she did it. And for sure, he was cured. It was not a medical thing. It was not, maybe it was her love to the son that she believed so much in the power of the bracelet that at the end he was healed. But
Or
it is something that you
maybe
still
or
can't explain.
maybe it had run its course and he was going to be fine anyway.
Yeah, it's a baby anyway. They recover very soon from everything.
Yeah, so there you go.
But I've seen it. I mean, I said that we are crazy, but sometimes you just have to respect because you've seen things.
So tell me, what else have you seen?
Well, what else? Haunted houses. It's crazy. I know it's
See,
crazy.
we're gonna find out how crazy you are now.
Yeah, I know it's crazy, but even recently I saw a video in the Posada Alemana. You know where Posada Alemana is? It's going to Salem.
The German house.
Yeah, the German house.
That the man who we shall not name, his partner, is from here, and he built that, and now it's all burned down and.
Yeah, it's abandoned, the property.
Uh-huh.
So that property, because it belonged to a narco in the past, so there are many stories around the house. I didn't know about that, but I was checking on YouTube recently, and they got like a ghosts meeting. Well, no ghost meeting like calling ghosts, but checking if there were ghosts around. And they had some not normal signals and not normal sounds, and they filmed and they had everything recorded because they said that there is a bad energy over there. And it is because in the past, that place was, they did many bad things. So the energy stayed there, and they recorded that. They recorded like light passing and sounds, and some people, I've never been there, but some people have been that I know. And they say that you feel strange. If you enter there, you feel the energy is like it's very cold, and if you touch something, you feel the texture is strange, and you don't feel well. So you just say like, oh, I don't want to be here. And I just
No,
want to
isn't
be.
your education like psychiatry?
Yeah, of course there are some implications, but still, if you tell me, oh, let's see if it's true, let's enter the place, I say like, you go and you tell me.
Really?
So it's like I have a distance. I say I respect, but yeah, but I do think about energies, and I think it could be something that is very Colombian thing to think about energies and some places that are not good for you. But I still follow the same idea.
See, now I don't know that bad things actually did happen there.
Yeah, many things.
Like what?
Well, because it was a 5-star hotel.
Right.
This guy was a narco, so it was paid by dirty money. So
Right.
businesses, illegal businesses, dark parties. And when the house was abandoned, there were some meetings there doing some kind of satanic rituals. So
Well-
yeah, there are like many things.
Well, we don't
related
really
to-
know if that's true.
No, it's just legends. Actually, if you
Yeah.
ask a person from
No.
Armenia about the place, they're
No,
going to say
the
that.
place was, you're right, it was this hotel, and they had parties there, sometimes up to 2,000 people. But the people that were there were from all over the world. They were movie stars, they were politicians, they were people that were all famous people. So yeah, I don't know. Of course, politicians, they're all evil and corrupt, so maybe that's it.
Yeah. No, but the satanic meetings, they took place. I don't know what they did, but it was when the house was abandoned. So that's why they say that it has bad energy. Yeah.
Let's see. Sebastian, I miss Armenia. Mr. Sebastian, that building, I've got an update on it, but that building, they're close to getting done. Is it true there's a Satan church in Armenia? Is there a satanic church that you're aware of?
No, no.
She's new here, actually. She's been here less than 2 years. So Armenia is kind of new. She didn't even know how small it was. We're talking about it today, and she had no idea that it's only like 300,000 people. But are you aware of any satanic church?
Not here in Armenia, but I heard I heard about some of them in Colombia. I heard one in Bogota. There's another one in Bucaramanga.
Yeah,
I
but
heard
they're
about-
everywhere, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was something.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything here, but in Armenia is a little more conservative, so maybe even if it exists, they might want to be more underground,
Yeah, I think so.
more secretive about it. Where if you go to a big city, then that's not as necessary. I would think.
Yeah, I think, for example, in Cali, I heard about one, but it was close. It was like very, very public. People reacted about that. The church got together and said like, we have to do something about it. So at the end, it disappeared apparently, or they became underground. But it was many years ago. It was like 10 years ago.
So, any other superstitions you can think of?
Let me think. Superstitions. Ah, yes, there's one. Now that we're talking about babies and children, my mom taught me that if I was eating and if I left the table, so then the Holy Spirit left with me. So when I come back, I have no Holy Spirit protecting me, so I can hurt myself when eating. So because the Holy Spirit or the Virgin, it depends, it's not with me anymore. So I learned that, but I noticed that it's repeated in some other houses because, well, we mothers sometimes talk about those kind of ideas that we got when we were kids, when we were children. And yeah, some people said, oh, my mother told me it was not the Holy Spirit, it was the Virgin. And they said, it was not the Holy Spirit, it was not the Virgin, it was a saint, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, okay, different protagonists, same story.
So it was the mother trying to keep the kids at the table.
And the Coco,
You see-
know the Coco?
Yeah.
No, you know the Coco. Coco is a mythical character that if you misbehave, so then the Coco is going to appear. The Coco is like a bad guy who appears, who is super dark. It's like a shadow, and it takes children out of the house and disappear them. So you have to behave, or I call the Coco, or you have to behave, or the Coco is going to take you out of the house. So I don't know what the Coco is, but we were like, oh, no, the Coco is coming. Yeah, so you talk to people and they know about the Coco. I don't tell my son that, but but yeah, we grew up with the idea of the Coco.
I've been told about that, and it seems it's like the boogeyman. So I have a theory of where some of these things come from. For example, the hot water will make you sick. It's because where I was living, it was Colombia back then, everybody was poor practically. It was a very difficult time. And more than half of the population was unemployed. And people didn't have hot water. One, it was more expensive to put in. Two, it was a monthly expense that you would have to have for the gas to heat it up that you couldn't afford. And so I think it was a way to justify the fact that you had ice cubes coming out of that pipe because it was better for you. And there were other things like the electric. You have to unplug all of the plugs in the wall.
Yeah, and close the pass of the water.
Yeah.
Like you leave the house, you have to close all passes of the water.
Yeah.
Because then if you leave it open, it's going to count. It's not true.
Drop
anyway,
by drop by drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether they're true or not, but there are motivations. The eucalyptus. It's because if you can't afford medicine and you have children and they don't feel good, what you want to do is convince them that what you're giving them is going to make them feel good, because that's half of the battle. And so everything was about eucalyptus because you could pick that off the tree.
Yes.
And there's some truth in it, in that eucalyptus does help in certain ways, certain things. And so it becomes a catch-all because the parents need to convince children of something. Now, those parents were convinced and the grandparents were convinced, so I don't know where it began, but my theory is that a lot of these things came about to influence people's feelings or behavior with these stories.
Yeah.
That the stories aren't necessarily true, but they can like, you better behave or the Coco's coming. Well, then I better straighten up because I believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it all. Yeah, if you analyze all the legends and myths and about, there is another lady, La Pata Sola. She was also taking bad behaviors, husbands, bad behavior children. So yes, it's always related to good behavior. So if you behave well, nothing is going to happen. If you behave wrong, so then something's going to happen. And it comes from a strong grandparents tradition, because still my family, they come from Antioquia. Grandparents are respected, and what they say is like gold word. You have to keep the word. So yeah, so those traditions from people normally from towns or um, from rural areas, they started like promoting these ideas. People follow these ideas, and as they respect grandparents, they continue with that. Actually, my mother still have many of those superstitions. And my mother went to university. She works for the government. I mean, she's like a high professional level, you know. But anyway, she keeps on telling me things about my child, and I'm like, Mom, but you're for the new generation. But no, she still believes it.
Got a comment here. Let's see. Ice water stimulates our autoimmune system, proven science. Check a mentor of mine. Cheers to all. That's true. And that's a known fact. However, you can't take from that if you take a warm or a hot shower, it's going to make you weak and sick, because it doesn't. And that's really the point. But I hear you. I mean, what you're saying is true. Got another one here. Does Paula know of Colombian author Ingrid Rojas Contreras' book? She writes that her mother could appear at will in different locations. Do you know anything about that?
I hear about stories like that, but I never listened to the author, but I listen to people considering that as well. Like they have people moving like in another dimension that is called what is the name of that? Astral, the astral dimension.
Astral projection.
Yeah. Yeah, I listen to stories related to that, but it's more like I don't remember the name of that ideology or philosophy. It's like metaphysics.
Metaphysics, yeah.
Yeah, things like that. But no, it's not that everyone talks about that. If it's a very, very Catholic family like mine, they'll say like, no, it never happens. It's a devil's idea.
Yeah.
So don't follow that.
Well, more tradition. Colombia used to be like that everywhere. And so I think if you get away from the cities, you're going to find what Colombia was like 20, 30, 40 years ago. A lot of that behavior and it's, I like it because it's a memory for me. And so for me, it's like going back in time when I see that, because I can relate to it. I understand that I saw it, I lived around it. And so it's not just weird to me. In a lot of ways, I miss some of those things, because while we can look at a lot of that is like, well, it's just crazy, and we know that it's not true or whatever, but a lot of the values that were around that were very positive values. And when you get into the cities, you see that that's almost lost, and lost with it are some of those values. There was a time when if a Colombian came up and shook your hand on a deal, you could trust that.
Yeah, it's true.
And now it doesn't, even if you have a signed contract, you better have 10 signed contracts, maybe sign them in blood, because it's very difficult to find honorable people in the cities, especially. In the country, you still find a lot of that. But in the city, I mean, I'm constantly getting warned, oh, don't trust anybody. Don't trust anybody. Well, I trust people until I can't, but that doesn't mean I watch out for things. I've been scammed a couple times, since I've been here, but it's just the influence from outside of Colombia has really been detrimental to the society of Colombia, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, 10 years ago, I visited an indigenous community. No, it was not 10 years ago. It was 18 years ago. I went to NASA's community that was Cauca, up there in the mountains. And 18 years ago, they didn't have electricity. You have to use like the water coming from the river. They had the traditional kitchen around fire, and they didn't have much influence from technology. I visited the same community last year, and I almost cried. They already had, well, when I went there, only one person had a radio, and it was just at the entrance of the community, and they had to put some batteries on it, and they had to go to the house just to listen to information from the outside. But last year they went, they had cell phones, they had tattoos, they have perforations in the body, lots of new generations of indigenous young people. They wanted to leave the community because they needed to study at the university. Some of them were thinking about other countries as well, because they had this NGO that visited them from Switzerland, and they talked about Switzerland, and they said that there is a Europe and all the story from Europe. So young generations want to leave the communities to go abroad, and they were all using TikToks and things like that. And I was like, but 18 years ago it was not like that. So yes, it happens to indigenous communities up there in the mountains.
Yeah.
Many of them in the past, they wanted to be majors of the community, like mayores, we say in Spanish. So they were respected people, wise people, that they keep the traditions and they promote the oral. They kept the oral tradition, and they learn from nature. They learn how to cultivate the land, how to respect the laws of universe and many things like that. But now the new indigenous people, the young people, they say, becoming a major? No, thank you. No, I want to go to university. The future is there in the cities. The future is not here. Staying here in the community, having cows, going around with horses. No.
Yeah.
The future is there in the cities. So like, come on.
So much gets lost. One of the things recently, I've been visiting a lot of different farms, but I had a conversation some years ago about this. Colombia's farming, if you go back 100 years ago and more, they farmed with a different kind of knowledge. They knew that if you planted all one crop on a large piece of land, then it would become weak and open for diseases. And so certain diseases, they knew that if you put other kinds of plants around it or within it, that it could prevent those, because the different kind of plant might have a chemical that could protect the plants that you're trying to protect. And so the farms back then were really a mixture, and you'll still see that in some places here, where you go and look and you have fruit trees, but around the fruit trees, you'll grow maybe coffee, or maybe they'll, grow pineapple or something. It's like a mixture. They take all these different plants and they mix them together, but it was because there was a reason for that. And so they had a better product and they had a healthier product, but of course they couldn't produce as much. Well, Colombia, like everywhere else in the world, got convinced by Monsanto and, international organizations, some of these NGOs, to modernize their farming methods. Well, now you have things like rust attacking the coffee plants. And so they're creating these new varieties of coffee that's more resistant. But you also have some farms that I've seen that have gone back to the way it was done years ago. And the problem is they're having to relearn. They don't necessarily know what are the best plants to match up with other plants. So they know it exists, but the memory is lost. And the people that knew that, they died 2 generations ago. And so they're trying to relearn that and create a new type of farm, which is really the old type of farm.
I have some friends here in Salento, Chagualá is the name of the vereda, and they have these. They're learning from the Gobernación del Quindío. They're learning how new techniques in order to cultivate coffee to prevent animals coming from like insects to affect the cultivation. But they are all learning like the ancient way, and there is one reason, because now everything is drier. There is rain is gone. At least by Salento, they don't have rain many months ago. So they need to have like retaking the old traditions and all these kind of things in order to protect the food from growing and everything they need to have. So they're telling me that some people from the government are visiting them in order to help them to prevent, to go back to nature, to do all these kind of things. So I think it's a very good thing that is happening now.
A friend of mine graduated from the University of Quindio. I think we're going back maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And he got a grant from the government because his expertise was in this kind of farming.
Yeah.
And so he got a grant to go around and teach it or reteach it to farms that are struggling, growing it the modern way. And some of those farms, some years later now, are thriving. They're doing really well. They don't have to buy and use any kind of chemicals because the plants are self-protective. He became a pretty famous photographer. Maybe he's 30 this year. He has a lot of photos in National Geographic, and he goes all over Colombia in places nobody else has ever gone. And he's always investigating the animals and plants of Colombia in places where people haven't been in hundreds of years. A fascinating guy. We had this talk about the farm. That was when I first became aware of this movement in Colombia to go back to these kind of farms. It'll be difficult. The farms around Cali with these huge open fields, you probably won't see that. That'll remain commercialized. But like in Quindío, it's the perfect kind of farming for a place like Quindío. Do you ever get to farms? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I've been in farms around Chagualá. Well, Salento, they have many rural areas about Salento. I didn't know Salento was that big. Before, yeah, my friends told me.
Thought it was just a little village.
Yeah, I thought Salento was the town. No, Salento is super big. I think it's the biggest rural area in Quindío. And they have these meetings about traditional cultures, and also stop using chemicals, going back to the original coffee, because coffee is also affected. You know about coffee is being affected because some coffee is bringing they're bringing coffee from the outside, from Brazil, from different places, just to cover the demand. Oh, we need to cover this amount of coffee. So now coffee farmers, they want to protect that, and they want to protect the land from chemicals as well, because there is a huge demand of avocado. And avocado is also like the enemy of coffee now, because it dries the earth. So yes, every time I go around the coffee farms and around rural areas, I notice that it is super big. Actually, they're bigger than cities. The city is just this, a spot.
Yeah.
And then the rural area is super big. We have so much nature, so many places to explore and to visit. I think there are some mountains around here that no one has been.
Yeah.
Only the jaguars, the
No, I think there's a lot of undiscovered areas here, and that's what he does. Sharik, that's my business partner.
Okay.
In Cauca, just saying my name, I guess that means hello. So hello back to you. All right, I think we've run our course.
Yeah.
We need more superstitions. There's some I just can't think of them. I probably should have prepared better.
Well, in
There's some
school-
that are just like really funny and really kind of crazy, but I just
No, in schools and in universities, you still have some superstitions about, but it's very related to haunted houses, spirits, people that disappear and left the energy. So recently, I was talking about some friends in Circassia, and they were talking about how public areas, like public buildings, especially like the mayor's office or the secretaria of something, like sports secretaria in here in Armenia,
mhm.
they said that there is a ghost. So ghost stories are everywhere. But I remember when I was a teacher in Cali, I worked at a university and they said, "Oh, but don't stay there and after 6 p.m." And I said, "Why?" Because after 6 p.m. the ghost appears. I said, "But this is a university, why do you think that?" But then you get so obsessed with the idea that if you stay, you start feeling
You start
nervous.
noticing things,
You say,
and
"No, I better go. I don't want to experiment anything." Yeah, it happens in universities, in all buildings, in schools, and in government buildings as well. My mother worked for the mayor's office in Cali, and she said the same. Like after 6 p.m., you go there to the basement? No way. Nobody goes, not even the security guard. And well, it was my mom, and I said, "Okay, it's my mom." But no, again, a friend is working there recently, and she said, "I don't know, but nobody goes there after 6 p.m." And I said, "Really, still?"
look at the last Rumble comment. I had somebody come here and tell me that this apartment was haunted, that they felt the presence of a spirit. Yeah, okay. Well, I figure it's not doing me any harm, so it's welcome to it. Women won't leave their purses on the floor, hanging them up so their money won't run away.
Yeah, a friend told me recently that, because I always do that. Look at this, it's here. And a friend told me, "No, don't do that." A friend from Circassia, obviously, she's from Circassia. And she said, "No, don't do that." And I said, "Why no? Is it dirty?" She said, "No, the money is going to leave your bag." And I said, "Money?" She said, "Yes, if you put the bag on the floor, you will have money." And I said, "Okay."
Maybe from a pickpocket. All right. We're going to end it here. Thank you, everyone, for putting up with all the technical problems. I'm working hard to get them ironed out. I'll see if I can get that microphone situation taken care of and get back on the right kind of software. It's awkward looking in a lot of different places here. But let's see. Got one last comment here. Indeed, living in rural Salento, I see how monoculture of eucalyptus and avocado are killing many mountain slopes. Mountain slopes are surviving. But I get your point. All right. That's it. So thank you. I don't know when you're here next. I know Dan is coming next week. You'll have to send me your schedule.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be in Parque Café. There is Expo Eje Café. So we're going to be in Coffee Park. If you're around, you should go and visit.
I'll be doing this, but yeah, definitely. I actually should go. All right. Well, thank you. I'll see you next time, and thank you everyone for hanging in there with us. And that's it. Podcast number 1. It's all over. We'll see you later.
Bye.